Good afternoon. It's Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. Yes, it is. I'm here on this beautiful, beautiful Friday afternoon. It's Venus's day. Hi, Stormie. I'm so excited for our conversation. Let me see. There we go. Now, sometimes I have to press it. Okay. Hopefully that worked. Did that work? Ah, okay. Stop messing with me, Instagram.
Look, this is what happens when you have, there we are.
What was that roll of toilet paper?
It's my paper towels for the B&B. Isn't that great?
How are you?
Absolutely wonderful. How are
I am
you?
good. I'm so excited to talk to you today about the node switch and whatever else that comes up.
Oh man, I know. And I loved how you opened because it is Venus's day. It's one of my favorite days. You can literally watch my content and know what day of the week I recorded it on because I
Ah,
follow the color symbols of the day. So I love it. Venus Day is delicious. It's just a warm day.
and yes, yes. And here the weather is beautiful. So let me introduce you. So Stormie Grace is an amazing astrologer. Most people probably already know who you are, who has an amazing YouTube channel that is just fire and has the academy that offers free content and basic instruction for people, which is wonderful. And you specialize in business and mundane astrology, which is fantastic as well, because you have the background, the doctorate in business. So yeah, what else do you want to share about yourself that I
Yeah.
missed?
Yeah, I do those, and I am my just astro world is I'm a mix between EA, the Stephen Forrest clan,
Mm-hmm.
and the Noel Till clan. So I have a blend of those that come together, and the way that I use that, and it shows up in my practice, is I use the EA, and we explore where you've come from and what it's been like in the soul story, and I use the Till line methods to talk about how to do the everyday living within what you've got. So that is how I whip these things together.
I love it. I love that mixture. That's just beautiful. And and
Thank
and
you.
I just have to again compliment you about your the keynote speech you did at Norwalk was just so fire about Jupiter and Taurus. I just loved it. Loved it, loved it.
Yes,
Everyone did.
thank you so much. It was wonderful. It was my first time getting to do that, and I just felt like I was amongst family and colleagues, and what a wonderful experience. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us your
yeah.
big three.
I am a Taurus sun, a Virgo rising, and a Libra moon, and my moon sits in a stacked stellium of Mars, Moon, Saturn, and Pluto over there in Libra.
Wow. Okay. And what house is that in for you? Is it
It is
the
in the
sixth?
second house for
Oh,
me, the second.
you're Virgo rising. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
And then it's beautiful because I have my Mars is at 0 degrees of Libra and my Venus is at 0 degrees of Aries. So they're, having this mutually received conversation with each other. And I mean, once you know me, you get like the entire chart. It makes sense. You're like, oh, there you go.
That's a lot to work with, like that opposition.
Yeah. Oh, but I've loved it. And I think because they are mutually received, really the
Hmm.
dynamic when I deal with people or situations when that masculine feminine vibration
Hmm.
is off, I can key to it very, very quickly. And so it's also helped me to help other people bring balance, into their own lives where it's like, hold on, let's tweak that a little bit. And so it's actually been very useful.
That is amazing. Oh, yeah. And with the nodes now going into those signs, I mean, they entered at 29. Oh, it's going to be really interesting to see like, is there anything you want to share about when you have experienced the nodal axis over that? That just, I don't know, I'm just fascinated by that.
Yeah,
that
well,
opposition.
I kind of can't wait, honestly. I
Uh-huh.
feel, I'm a little bit feel like this. I'm like, no, come get my Venus and my Mars and let's see what happens. You know what you know what I mean? I'm a little bit excited about that. But also, I'm a 14-degree Taurus. My midheaven sits at 29 Taurus. So
Oh.
I've been being over here shaken, not stirred, by Uranus and the whole crew, the nodes. Then Jupiter came on and, so it has been a wild ride already. And what it really has looked like to, I think, begin the nodal story that I'll experience
Mhm.
next is it got me out of my country of origin
Mhm.
into Europe, which is where 20 years ago I was shooting to be at in the first place. I wanted to leave, right there at that 19-year space, and I wanted to train to be an interpreter. I've got Mercury and Gemini high in the sky right at my midheaven at 3 degrees, so it popped me here. And so as these nodes are getting ready to do their work, I'm very excited to meet this version of myself
Mhm.
because I do know that I wasn't able to choose the Aries side last time, which there was no fault in choosing the Libra
Mhm.
side. I had my children, the way I raised them, we did all these things, but I'm very excited to experience that and to hear what other people experience as they have more wisdom, skill, and availability to choose the Aries side of things, and thus create that internal balance of the soul story. Because I will tell you, since I've been in Spain and we've been here just a little over 3 weeks now, the portion of me that speaks English has wanted to be very, very quiet.
Oh,
And the portions of me that speak Spanish and French have wanted to take the reins. And it has been a lovely experience.
I love that. I love that leaning into that pioneering, expansive experience that you're doing. And so you're fluent in both Spanish and French?
I, I'm not fluent in French. I'm very close and I can move around in it, certainly enough to still make people laugh when I say things. I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's actually, I'm not putting it in the toaster.
Yeah, that's a Mercury. Don't you speak German too?
Yeah, and it's my mom would die because it's terrible, but I understand it just fine.
Ah, that's that Mercury and Gemini, just that gift with languages as well as astrology being its own language. I love
Its
that.
own language.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the love of my life. I found out, I think they say, when you get older, you become more of your chart and you realize what it is and how it's, trying to actualize. And I'm like, I think I just want to be pretty and say things. And that's probably all I ever
Well, and you
really
do
wanted
both.
to do.
You do both very well. Be pretty. The
Right?
Libra
And
and the
it's so
Taurus.
funny because I think back to, that 19 years ago when I was trying to like leave and get out of here and even, my first personal nodal return where I was like, yeah, I don't want to come up with anything new and insightful. I just want to be a bridge for language and I want people to feel safe talking to me. And now that's what I'm doing.
I love that. I love that. That is so wonderful. And so you're going to be an interpreter in Spain. So like a Spanish interpreter or English, teaching people English or something? Or what do you mean
Well,
by that?
we'll see. We
Okay.
will see what these nodes bring to fruition, right? Because right now I am a full-time professional
Okay.
astrologer and I love that. But I'm also loving thinking about my content in Spanish and
Ah,
watching my brain kind of move these across. And I'm learning Korean right now as well. So it's like translating these things and watching how my brain and my energy move through them and being like, well, maybe my role is just to translate astrology into as many languages. Maybe my job is to, I don't know. I can't wait to see where this comes to, but my job was to get here and that's all I know.
oh my God. I absolutely love that. I love that. And what an expression of Mercury and Gemini, just picking up all these languages and translating. Anna would like you to translate astrology into Portuguese. So maybe you could add that to your list after you learn Korean.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure that I will. And it's funny, though, Anna, that you're saying this because I had a conversation with my husband about a week ago, and I was like, I can't tell you why, but I think a portion of our journey is going to be spent in Portugal, right? And so I'm laying there, and I was like, well, I guess, universe, you're going to teach me Portuguese. So before long, I'm sure that I'll be learning Portuguese too. And for me, it's not even it's a nothing. Like it's a love language to pick up another form of communicating with people. So yes, as soon as I get that Portuguese under my belt, I'll be there.
Yes, people are loving that. Loving. Yeah. It's just wonderful. And I know like on your YouTube channel, sometimes like you eat with people. So that like shows the tourist. You're like all about the food. I know when you go to conferences, you have your snacks in the organized containers. So bringing in the Taurus and the Virgo rising, like you got your healthy snacks with you. Yeah. So you are living your chart in so many ways.
I know. That's why I sometimes, especially now that I'm like just hit the over 40 club, I'm like, man, I'm just everything on this chart. That's it. You know what I mean? Like there was this time, I think in my 20s and certainly just past my Saturn return where I was like, well, I think that I'm like this romantic, deep, right? And I'm like, no, listen, the entree has come with all the sides and I'm just that. And it's so wonderful to be like one of my fellow man instead of kind of this exotic version of what I thought I was or had to be. I'm curious though, Celeste, what's happening in the nodal story for you?
So for me, so I have my Jupiter at 29 degrees of Libra and I'm a Cancer rising. Minutes and Jupiter rules my 6th house of things that like burdens and toils. Like hours after the new moon, I bit into this like pork rib, and I had a filling on the end of one of my teeth. It like fell off, like just like that. So far, I had to go to the dentist, spend half a day dealing with this tooth. But I'm excited about it because I'm an Aries midheaven. My moon is in Aries in the 10th house. And I'm excited about like what are the new frontiers I'm going to pioneer with this transit as the North Node climbs to my midheaven. So hopefully.
Yeah. Well, so can I explore your life?
Please do. Yes.
Yeah. So what did you do last time? So that 2005 time frame when we were kind of there, because I chose on the Libra side, I'm going to do the kids, I'm going to, all the things. And what was it for you?
I was on the Libra side too. That was when I got married. I met my ex-husband, and got married. Yeah, so I was really living in that Libra side. And I've recently met my new boo, and he's an Aries rising. So I feel like also that, and he's like, he's a 28 degree Aries rising. So that eclipse in at 29 Aries in April brought him into my life. Yes. So.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. And it's funny, I'm curious, just for people listening or listening back, how many people chose the Libra side and those circumstances are really not in their lives anymore. And granted, I did not divorce my children, but one of them is off in college and she'll be here in Italy. She is living her best life, right? So we have had our own mini divorce from the way we used to engage. So I'll be curious to see how many people don't have those circumstances in their life anymore.
Yeah, put it in the chat. Yes. Yes, Anna. So the last time the North Node was in Aries, I think it was December 2024 through, 2004 through early 2006, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So really cool. Go back, go look at it, go see what it is. And now, so to kind of come back to this Venus retrograde, a portion of the story I've been thinking about is how Venus retrograde with these nodes sits in this gorgeous fire trine, right? So we've got, okay, we've got this side, but then we've got this other nice sextile going to the Libra portion. So there's a lot of ease in this retrograde Venus conversation with the nodes, and the nodes are an inside job in the first place. So it's really an internally reflective kind of surface going on. So a piece of the story I've been coming up with is literally the values we had at the time were just so incredibly complex and different than they are now, that it's like we could have only chose those things. So to be able to see our values and value who we were then, you know, like not look down on it, but look at it as a valuable piece of the story, is where I think we get access to be informed in our relationships, right? You know what I'm saying? Where you get to look back in a different way. It's kind of a, I don't know, I think that that's really interesting in terms of what that brings in, especially because we're going to see Venus come just on the 27th into that conjunction with Mercury. So literally Mercury bringing fresh eyes, fresh perspective, fresh glasses, fresh news, even to inform the way we have viewed and spoken about this old situation. You know, that Leo, this is how I express this situation. And when we start talking about those old situations differently, that's when you know something's changing in here, right? Like the value system is getting shifted, right?
I love that. And I think like that could be a call for journaling about like what were your values in terms of relationship back in 2005 versus where they are now, and where are you on that Aries Libra, that axis of yeah, are you ready to move away from people pleasing or any of the other things, being wishy-washy? How are you going to be more direct and take risks rather than
and
hold
what
yourself back?
And what is that, you know, what's that relationship back there in 2015, or what is the project, like what's the heartbreak that you encountered because your values were what they were, and you settled or you squashed your own voice or enthusiasm or creativity, and now you can't? It's literally, you know, when Venus hits this retrograde, it's going to be in quincunx to Neptune. So I really feel like all of us are going, now wait a minute, this is highly unrealistic for me to keep this story going. Right? I get to see it from a different perspective, because the old story of how that disempowered me or how that heartbreak was the worst thing ever in my life, we're seeing it from a really different perspective now. And that, I think, helps put a little of that fire into that trine with Aries, where it's like, well, damn it, I just choose something else now, right? I did what I did. I did the best I could. And now today, I'm not running the old story and the old game anymore. The self-doubt can take a back seat. I'm going this way. Really cool.
I love that. Yeah, and Venus is at the tip of a yod with Pluto too. So that Neptune in Pisces and Pluto in Capricorn at the base, and really like looking at that Venus story. And I did stifle my voice in my previous marriage, and I'm not doing it now. So I'm loving what this is opening up for me, just even in this conversation. And Cameron Allen is loving being in a bed of Black women magic.
I love you, Cameron. Camtasticles. That's my name for Cameron, y'all. It's Camtasticles. That's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Neptune Pluto conversation, I think, in the way too that those are these outer bodies, you know, I think it's also a place where a lot of people are going to be reevaluating and thus enacting in that Aries energy even the stories that society told them about what made them valuable, what made them beautiful, what made them useful. Excuse me, I know in the United States we've got a conversation about what's going on with these student loans based on some fake stories that people were sold. So that's something. But even bigger than that, you know, how many people out there right now, how many women specifically are out there right now, and you were sold this story of pure independence, go get it, go hustle, be the boss babe, and you haven't been able to keep a partnership in your life since, because we were sold the story that you just got to get it, get it, get it. And that has risen so deeply in the subconscious that we've actually participated in imbalancing the feminine male dynamic, right? There's a lot of that healing going on. And if you're a Pluto Libra generation, you're probably doing some work to rebalance this, right?
That
I
is
don't know how
so
many people are
true.
experiencing that at a collective level,
Yeah.
at a collective level.
Mm-hmm. And it's so true. There's so many women who, yeah. And I mean, I have like such a strong streak of independence as well that,
Yeah.
yeah, like for various reasons, I always felt the need to have my own, create my own stable base of security, at least like financially, and be able
Yeah.
to be, yeah, independent. But the beauty of partnership is really nice. So that's a great
Right.
thing to evaluate during this Venus retrograde as well. With that, there's a lot of shadow work in retrogrades in general, but this one
Yeah.
has an even, like with the Pluto and Neptune and Venus.
Yeah.
What have
Yeah.
you lost or left behind by, leaning into that like Pluto power dynamic of like we were talking about the independence? Yeah.
Yeah. And it requires, I really think that it requires that Neptune Pluto sextile to activate as well, because there's an element of forgiveness that's going to have to present itself for how we've lived in ways that did not nurture receptivity, but only demanded the taking, which is a real interesting conversation. I think when we look at it in the mundane perspective and we hear patriarchy, 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 and then we flip it and we go, whoa, whoa, where has the matriarchy participated in the patriarchy? And now we've got generations of young men who don't know how to step up and young women who don't know how to ease into their natural receptive vibration while understanding they're different and equal. It's a really interesting story, I think, is unfolding not only socially but personally and at the level of a lot of spiritual development.
That is so true. So fire. Yeah, young people especially, I'm finding, yeah, it's like that, yeah, a lot of young people don't even know where they are in this dynamic. I can't even imagine being someone like in my early 20s or something, trying to date in this new age of Pluto, age of Aquarius.
Yeah,
Yeah, how
well,
can,
and I feel like everybody who's like 35 to 44, like right there, they're like, wait, what? Literally,
uh-huh.
like someone has just handed them, or they've thrown out the script. You know what I mean? But the ripples are already here.
Mm.
So there's tension. There's a tension. There's a heartbreak, which this Venus retrograde time is actually here to heal. By October, when we're done with the entire Venus in Leo, and then Venus is having this conversation with Chiron, that healed identity where we're not just seeing ourselves, our world through the wound, but through healed eyes, and then we can help others heal. That's the salve that I think takes us all the way back through 2015 to 2004, 2005, and says, forgiveness is the answer. You will develop, and now behave like you know what you've learned.
I
You
love
know,
that.
like,
Yeah.
yes.
And Venus
Me too.
goes retrograde tomorrow, and
Yeah.
then Chiron goes retrograde on Sunday. And I've been interested to see how those two transits um, like work together. Venus and Leo, your inner spirit, your fire, your dynamism, Chiron and Aries, like your soul wound. yeah, what are you going to do in reflecting and healing that? And I think that's what the yod kind of says the same thing. So that's so beautiful how you brought that up. How can you be more receptive of what have you left behind by, you know, always needing to be the caregiver or yeah, or the doer or that sort of thing. I think is a great thing to think about healing. And the fact that the Barbie movie is coming out today, and there's something like subversive, I'm sure, about it with Greta Gerwig
I'm sure.
being the director. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to hear the reaction to that. Like the story, a lot of people were sold in older generations about like seeking
Yeah.
this perfect image kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I'll be really interested too. I mean, I'm always interested at how these things pour out through, music and art and culture and with Jupiter being in Taurus right now, we're really going to see the expansion of the story through the arts and like where our communities are at consciously, subconsciously. These kinds of things will continue to take, I think, that those value stories. But also I think that this is like such a random divergence, but with Jupiter also being in Taurus and the ruling planet is retrograde and so much value reevaluation, we're also not allowed to stay in the disempowering stories. It's like, no, listen, you had some time to be healing that. Were you doing it? Because now you have to step up and be who you say you are. Right? Live by these new values, live by these new identities that not having to live so tightly in that Chiron wound has actually given you freedom to participate in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And I don't know, there's something that's happened over like the last maybe 10 years or so. I'm not sure the exact time frame where there is this um what do you call it? Like really getting into the victim story, like almost like exalting the victim like in an unhealthy
Mm,
way. That I think hopefully this time can be a really moving away from feeling like a victim to feeling like the map maker, the captain of your own destiny, and the ability
yeah.
to no matter where you came from or what went on before, the
Yeah.
ability to like move forward in a positive way and enact change.
Yeah.
With the
Well,
North Node in
absolutely. And
Aries.
I think that the North Node in Aries, but also, I mean, I really believe that Saturn in Pisces is going to do a lot with that, because Pisces is just living his best life. It's like out here in all of this, and Saturn's like, okay, I like it, but we also have to put some kind of container around this to have mastery of it. So it
Mm.
really kind of puts the victimhood story, whatever it is, right? The stories of disenchantment, disempowerment, disembodiment, into a box and says, this is now going to be a reference for you, not just the full story. Right? Like it goes, do you remember the Dewey Decimal System, like at the library?
Yes,
It's
I
like
used
that.
to
It
work at the
becomes one of those
library
cards.
in
Oh,
college.
you did?
Yes, I worked at the government documents library.
Oh my gosh, then you know what I'm talking about. So it becomes like something in your story that you get to put in the little card system and pull out for reference when you need it. And when you're going to need it is when you're going to help and be of service to someone else who doesn't know there's a way out, who doesn't know there's life after that terrible thing, right? And so in it, I think we rise up in our spirits and in our beings and our personality, Aries, to be who we said we could be who we've believed we could be. I love this quote, and I can never remember who said it, but it's very Chiron and Aries to me, where they said, you don't build self-esteem by just thinking about yourself, and you don't build your reputation by doing nothing. You build those things by having an undeniable stack of proof that you can do what you say you can do, and you are who you are. And I love that. I feel like that's the season that we're in right now,
I
is very demonstrative.
Yes, I love that, love that, love that. Yeah, self-esteem comes from like taking the risk to take the action and then like having any kind of success with what you did, like even if you didn't achieve exactly what you want. I love with the full moons also celebrating any wins, and that's a way to like build that
Yeah.
self-esteem. But I love that quote. I have no idea who said it, but
I don't know
it's beautiful.
either, but I do. I love it. Like all of my my earth placements like love that, you know,
Mhm.
because I'm like, yeah, do stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other sides of me though realize that for all of us, I think the story comes all down to kind of this spiritual root where it's like I have to tell my truth and forgive who I've been and celebrate who I've been all at the same time, and also just be who I am now. You know, this is another thing about being who you are now. Okay, Venus retrograde in Leo. There's a real aesthetic vibe that goes with this. So I just want to encourage everybody to like seriously update your bio pictures. Okay, like stop putting that picture up from 20 years ago because that's not who you are, and that is very disempowering to you, right? To be holding on to the story of what you did 10 years, 20 years, 5 years ago. Who are you now? Bring your look, bring your representation current, because that's an act of love.
Hmm.
Venus is about that love. And especially if
Yes.
you're online dating, like, come on.
Yes. Show your real self. I saw someone on Facebook said something about how hard it was for them to post a picture without a filter. Show your filterless self to the
Right.
world.
You know what? I do enjoy that. Like, I know a lot about technology and I move and groove and can do my thing. And I've never figured out filters enough to use them. So I was almost just grateful that I'm like, well, hell, I don't even know how to do that in the first place. So,
Me too. I don't need to be messing around with that stuff. Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah,
no, absolutely not.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Show your true self.
So, in your personal story with
Mhm.
the Venus retrograde there in Leo, are you seeing any pieces of the story already really start to play out, especially in terms of things like your finances?
Well, yes, I had this unexpected,
Oh,
this
go with
unexpected
your
bill with the tooth. Yes.
yes. Okay,
And
fair,
I've been a
fair.
little
You're like,
nervous about, because it's in my second house. Like, is there going to be like some? Oh, I got a letter from the IRS saying they don't have my 2021 or something tax return, something about it with my business. So, yes, I've got to go back and go through old records and resend to the IRS these things that had already been
yeah.
sent. I thought that was perfect on time for, yeah.
You're like right on time. I'll have that
Yes,
to you.
yeah. And I have Neptune at 29 Scorpio. So Venus is squaring
Okay.
Neptune from the past. These financial things are needed because we're
I
lost or whatever.
lost.
Yeah. So that's how I'm seeing
Yeah.
it with finances so far. Knock on wood. That's all. The only.
But that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like good enough. Yeah, sometimes, just one good retrograde event is enough to like set us up for success.
I'm hoping that's all it's going to be. How about you? Have you seen anything?
Oh yeah. So it will retrograde through my 12th house. And it's
Mm.
funny because I had started a podcast. I started the Stormie Grace podcast, and it's like it's there. You know what I mean? But it just energetically was not sound. And I was in the bathroom the other night and I'm like brushing my teeth and whatever. And I was like, well, obviously this is the name of the podcast, you know? And so coming back out of hiding and working on this behind the scenes, I've already started to see how this is going to unfold now. But I could also see all of the things that were in the way that would have never allowed me to fully unfold in that way. So
Mm.
I love it for the direct expression of like literal expression. This is going to be coming out of my mouth. Here we go. And I don't know, I'm a Taurus with a whole bunch of Libra stellium. You know, so my chart is just basically Venus on cocaine. I always got a past lover coming back from somewhere to deal with. Even they don't usually come back in physical form. They'll pop up in a dream and I'm like, oh yes, I'm sorry about that time in 1880 where I had an affair on you, you know? Like I'm still working through some people.
Oh, I got to give you a story about that. So yesterday I like opened Alignable because I was going to show someone something, the social networking thing for small business owners. And a guy I used to date was the first thing that popped. I was like, what is he doing there? And then I was like, oh, Venus, Venus retrograde. It was just so
I'm telling you what, isn't it funny? Because it is, right? Like it is just like bashing. And I'm like, all right, right? I just am never surprised. Like when Venus goes retrograde, I just feel like Zach from kindergarten, who I had a crush on for 6 weeks, is coming back. We're going to have a conversation, which is also a very Taurus and Cancer thing. I love that about Taurus and Cancer energies. Wherever they're at in your chart, you're committed for like ever. To whatever.
Yeah. That
happens to be one of my favorite relationship combinations too, by the way, are Taurus and Cancer people, because even when they break up, they're still married 30 years later. You know?
Yeah, grocery store man, for people who followed me for a while, was a Cancer son, and this Taurus, no, I had to block his. No.
Absolutely. Right? There was no, listen, it's not going to work out. This is not for us. It was like, listen, even if you die, it's you and me. And it's kind of weird, you know, just a little bit.
Yeah, he did not want to let it go. Yeah.
No. Okay. No, it is not at all like breaking up with a Gemini who's like, fine.
Like, bye.
Okay, bye. I'm on to the next, you know. Think about you sometime.
Yes, that foreverness of the Cancer energy, which I should know well. Yeah, with my son, with my rising being a Cancer.
I know. I tell you that it's a good energy.
Yeah. So, what are a couple other recommendations you have for people to think about how they can be leaning into that Aries energy, and anything you want to about letting go and or balancing with the South Node in Libra?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things with that Aries North Node, trying to travel towards it, is honestly, first of all, with the nodes, we're laughing and we're having such a good time. But remember, like, neither one are bad. It's not bad. It can just be out of balance. And with any opposition, because it can go bigger and bigger, bigger very easily. One of the things I would highly suggest for everybody during this time is, when you're working with the nodes, don't ask about your purpose. Stop looking for the purpose, right? That's a very big, it's like putting Miracle Grow on an opposition and just watching that thing get bigger and bigger and bigger, because there's a purpose for everything. But instead, we're looking for integration when there is an opposition. You want the sweet spot in the middle of both of these qualities on this axis. So ask questions that are like, well, what's my goal? Okay, so if I'm moving towards the Aries and I need to do more of me and I need to do a little bit less of the we, how do I create the interdependence instead of a codependence, right? Or a super dependence or independence, right? So it's looking for keywords like that I think for humans click us into a different mind frame, because this whole looking for your purpose deal, first of all, it's age old and it makes people crazy, and Socrates never found it, you know, like, okay, so if we've been looking for it since then, friends, we're not going to find it. But we can achieve goals. And I think that the other thing with the Aries side of it is, instead of looking for purpose, I would recommend for everybody to figure out the person you want to be. Like, what are write it down on paper qualities. I would like to move with integrity. I would like to be playful. I would like to be joyful. I would like to be a leader. Write those words down and then take actions and align yourself with people who are bringing those kinds of qualities to the forefront. worrying more about who you want to be and less about your purpose is going to give you such a full, delicious life. And it'll tell you quickly what you feel like fighting for, because Aries energy is not like, oh, I'm here. It's like, damn it, I deserve to live. I am willing to die on this hill for this. And that, for me, to me, is becoming the person that I want to be. That's worth dying for.
I love that. So writing down the words that you want to be and embody, and surrounding yourself with people or situations, or like researching things about those, like, or even having like an archetype about those different people or what have you. Yeah. And then, that'll help you grow into it rather than thinking about, oh, my legacy, my purpose, da 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 da. It's just, what is the I am that you were looking for, and finding ways to partner with it by seeking out things that embody people, things, archetypes that embody it.
Yeah, well,
I love that. I wrote it down, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Do it. Do it. Well, and so then we look at it, though, too, through the Chiron side, I think, right? And in the I am, some of this Chiron energy, the wounded piece that is the greatest teacher, is that we each, I think, have been offered the opportunity to be clear and to be honest about who you are, right? Like, are you an astrologer? If you're an astrologer, hang out with astrologers, right? What are the qualities that will make you a better astrologer or allow you to share astrology with other people? Because it allows you, Aries, to share astrology with others. Libra, that's a beautiful integration. Are you an overeater? And you need to find the overeaters who have successfully found a way to live in balance. Are you an alcoholic, right? Are you an ice skater? What is your actual core level I am? Because if you can tell the truth about what you are, you can find your people. And your people will likely show you how to live in a wonderful way. Now, here's the thing, okay? I always use this example. If you're an alcoholic, let's just use this as the example, friends. You are always going to be able to find other alcoholics, right? Like, it's like you got a beacon for it, okay? But maybe Saturn and Pisces try to find the ones who are living in a healthy way that you can do that too. Because something else, right? There's plenty of people I know who are alcoholic and they're not drinking, and they're so dry, they're like dry like popcorn farts, and it hurts. And you maybe don't want that. That's a very painful way to live, right? Where are the people who are abstaining from the alcohol, the drugs, the food, whatever your thing is, but they've found a way to live that is very attractive, and there's a light, and you can see an integration of a healing of the wound. But now they're not seeing the world just through the wound. So it's the embracing the real I am, finding the tribe, and then getting really big and beautiful about it.
I love that. Finding the balance. Yes. Yeah. That reminds me of there's this thing called the naked mind. I did Dry January in the beginning of the year, and this woman, Annie Grace, she doesn't drink at all, but she has this app and books and stuff to help people get control by being like conscious about it. And she uses that jump spring. Lots of people do Dry January to teach about all kinds of things. And and it's not about like depriving yourself or having nothing. It's about just like refinding the balance and being conscious and aware with what you're doing, and not defining yourself by the wound. This brought this all back to me. That's really a cool thing. So it's called the Naked Mind for anyone who is interested in that.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, and I absolutely love that. And see, that's where I think that we get to, like, this is where we like drop to that next level where it's like when we're talking about the identify where you struggle, you struggle in that way because you seem to be incapable of practicing some version of moderation. But you don't need to struggle by yourself. Find the other people who can't practice that the same way that you can. That's the depth of the level of spiritual healing I think that these transits have to bring and have available. Because if you could have just been eating only 2 pieces of cake on your own, you'd probably just be eating 2 pieces of cake. If you're an overeater, find the other overeaters who successfully know that they can't moderate. Like, it's that I am, right? The one that I'm maybe a little bit ashamed of even to say that I do this thing. And that can be the same with astrologers. I know tons of people who are like coming up and out now in this season being like, oh, I've been a doctor my whole life, and it turns out now I'm an astrologer, and it's been this dirty word, you know, for a long time. Well, but now everybody has an astrologer, a therapist, and a barista. So we're back in, Celeste.
We are. I love it. Yes, we are. I love the comments about, we got Von Mo, the Taurus, and Cancer. They're together forever. And D. Tuggle said, girl, bye. I'm out. Gemini women. They're just so good. Yes.
I love it. It's funny to be able to know enough astrology to laugh with it and know that there's something so much deeper, but to laugh at some of these just qualities. Because I'm telling you, as I get older, I am such a Taurus. I get someplace, even at Norwalk, everybody was like, oh, Stormie, where are you going? I'm like, oh no, to my room, just at my candles. I brought a griddle, and I made a video showing people how to cook when you travel.
Your cooking utensil, like your yes,
I sure did. I sure did. And anybody who came up to my room, I was like, would you like a mini quiche? I can pop it on real quick. And that is, you know, so to laugh at these things, I think is hilarious.
I think it is so hilarious. And like, wow, how Uranus is really getting you out of that comfort zone, which is such a Taurus thing. Like moving you across the world. I mean, that's incredible too. And have you, like, you've only been there 3 weeks, but have you been able to recreate comfort, like, in your system?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I felt for us, for, you know, me and my family, certainly for me, as soon as we touched down, I get busy creating home and comfort. And my husband is a Cancer rising, you know, so it helps. And my daughter has a Taurus moon, so we're not doing too much where we're not going to be comfortable and have our snacks and the things. So as a unit, it kind of works very, very, very well for us, you know, which is just a lovely thing. But the other things that have happened is for everybody, not just me, but Uranus in Taurus has waken up a mountain, and while it has risen the bodies to the surface, right, like the skeletons are at the top, we've had to deal with some of those things. It has disrupted all kinds of plans, designs, ideas, course corrections to life. But it's also, you know, I think about that alchemical symbol of Earth. It's in and down, and it has risen those gems and those minerals and those talents and those skills that every single one of us have in the Taurus areas of our chart that have been there the entire time, but we haven't actualized, we haven't used them. So this idea of, like, you know, having more money or having things of different value or making it or whatever, you have everything you need to make and create the life that you want. It's right here. You don't actually need to go get anything else. It's right here. Use the gems that have presented themselves in this time. And what is it? Then put it out there. You know, it's really been fascinating.
Yes, 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 yes. And I just got the thought, yeah, Jupiter and Taurus for you really has sent you on a long journey in many different ways. Yeah, I love it.
I know. Well, and then, you know, and I'm a 9th house Taurus in the first place, so everything pointed to I was leaving this country, by the way.
Yes.
But also, you know, in it, as the Uranus like hit and then Jupiter came together, immediately I just started speaking other languages that I didn't have to speak. You know, I started showing other people. When Uranus came into Taurus, I started teaching people how to build businesses. And my whole deal with building businesses, if you ever work with me, I help people build profitable businesses. So I help you build a business that does make money. That is my goal, to teach you how to build a business that makes money. You can have all the clarity you want. That's not my mission. I'm going to show you how to make money, right?
That is so
And that
Taurus.
it
Yes. Yes.
is, right? And I have a
Practical,
can.
practical and resourceful, making money. Perfect.
Right. And I just, I was just building my businesses and I was like, whatever, this is just what you do. Plus I, I have a Capricorn South Node, so, there's that. But then Uranus came in and all of this stuff started happening and I felt like astrology called me to teach other astrologers how to do this.
Mm.
Right? And it was like, oh, but that had already been down there. That was in my mountain, my earth of things, and it was just sitting there. I got a doctorate degree in business.
Yeah.
I was using it just the way I was using it. So in your charts, in your lives, go back to the Taurus areas of your chart and where have things come to the surface that you already had. Maybe you didn't know what to do with them then, but they're here now, and what can you do with them? Because likely they're valuable in terms of content and they're valuable in terms of being able to demand a profit for them. And the demand of profit is not like, give me all your money. It's someone needs it. They're looking for it. Go teach them how to do it. Jupiter in Taurus.
Yeah, an
Love
energy
it.
exchange. Know your
Yes.
value and be able to, like with the Aries North node, ask for it. Just be direct and ask for your value. And if people aren't willing, then next. I really, really like that. And so I just am getting more involved with OPA now that AFAN was absorbed into OPA, which is the Organization of Professional Astrologers, and you're the marketing director.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is that part of your role, teaching people how to make money from their businesses with that? Or is that totally
Not in that
different?
particular, not in that particular
Okay.
role. In that particular role, I make sure that our visuals are good. Our social
Okay.
media team is doing what it needs to do. We're sharing a lot of information so that people know who we are, what we are, things that are coming up, things like that. But within OPA, I do get to teach classes all year long about, how to make business. And when we do mentorship groups, which the mentorship groups are going to be opening up for 2024 again soon, my mentorship groups focus on things like corrections in your business. Are you exhausted? Do you love what you do, but your business isn't making any money? I deal with things like imposter syndrome. I look at how in your daily business life you're creating chaos for yourself and how to not do that and instead create some clarity. So those are the things in my mentorship window that we get to spend time doing, and I love that that's what it was called to, because before, when people would have one-on-one sessions with me, we did a lot of talking about Mercury. We did a lot of talking about the lunation cycles in their chart, progressed lunation cycles, and I still love those. Those are my favorite. But Uranus kicked some gems to the surface, and I was like, who wants to learn how to build a business? And then it was like, all these people put up their hands, and I was like, oh, we're going to do that. And what a joy it's been.
Yes. So Anna asked about it, OPA. So OPA is opaastrology.org. It's the Organization for Professional Astrologers. I recommend joining, even if you are just an astrology enthusiast, and consider taking one of Stormie's mentorships to get your accreditation or what have you. And I'm going to be hosting the Transit Talk, so a monthly study group, as well as the OPA Lives at the end of the year for talking about 2024, where there'll be like professional, great astrologers talking about what they see coming up. So it is an amazing organization. So I recommend that people go, and if you're not a member, join. It's
absolutely
incredible.
Do it. And it's so nice too because when you hear Organization for Professional Astrology, what we're saying, you don't have to be a professional astrologer. You absolutely do not. But the quality of content from the beginning things that you're going to learn as a baby astrologer or just enthusiast is going to be really high quality, right? It's going to be really high quality. And so as you have these explorations, it gets to be like, I love TikTok and I love seeing the like Cancers act like this during their season. Those make me laugh and lift my heart. And then you're going to get a journal that opens up Cancer season and peels you back to Cancer in hieroglyphic forms and what our ancestors and what our predecessors have found out. So it's a deep dive into the astrology, into the signs, into the techniques that we're using. So wherever you want to go with that, you're going to get really quality information. And I love that about OPA. And the other thing I love is that wherever you are, because we've got astrologers out there who've been practicing for 40 years in the woods, and they are fantastic. But they've been by themselves. So we invite you to come as you are, where you are, and have community. And that is a gorgeous thing.
Community. It's so, it's so amazing and so important. I love that. And so, Ixkel Medina is asking, how can they take your business class?
So you can take my business class as soon as the mentorship comes up on the OPA Astrology website. And then you also have some other ways. You can come to my website, stormiegrace.com, and you can take my digital business class that's pre-recorded. You take it at your own pace. You can do that. Or you can come to my Legatia Academy page, which is all business, and I help people with business. There's no astro that's involved in that. It's just if you run a business and it's not making money and you need help, I got you. Come see me. We can do some sessions. You can do a package. You can do whatever. And we're going to sit down one-on-one and get through your business.
And can you spell that? Legatia?
It's Legatia.
.com?
.com. Yep. And Legatia, it's Latin for legacy, because I teach people to build businesses that make money so you can leave your financial legacy.
I love that. Well, she says, thank you. Amazing. Perfect. So you've got to do somewhere. Yes.
Somewhere, and there's free stuff. There's free stuff on YouTube. You can go to Legatia Academy on YouTube. There's free content to get you started there with some business ideas and how to walk through them. So there are resources just everywhere. And I'm not the only one. Also keep that in mind. I'm not the only one.
But you do it so well. So people love learning from you and want to hear from you about how can they do this, and in a practical, grounded, step-by-step way that brings all of that Taurus energy, and very clear, which brings the Mercury and Gemini. So I love how you living your chart in those ways. So
thank you. I've had just probably lifetimes to perfect it with that Capricorn South Node. I've been the boss for a long time. Now I'm learning to ask people how they feel.
That was probably
which is funny because the whole opposite side of all of the business work I do is run around and talk about the moon. I mean, I could not be getting my nodal life together more if I tried.
Yes, I think that's one of the first classes or learnings I did with you was you were talking about the progressed lunar phases or something like that. And I just loved how you language them. So now I want to be respectful of your time. We're almost up to the hour. So is there anything else you want to share or tell people about what you have going on or coming up? Anybody who's, for anybody who's listening now.
Yeah, well, every week, every month, you can join me over on YouTube. I am always hanging out over there, putting out content. I am like a content machine. I could die today and people would be like, Stormie's living her best life. The content is there. And in Virgo rising fashion, it is pre-recorded, you know, and ready to go for you. But also come and join me. We have a beautiful community on YouTube. Lots of people supporting, lots of people learning, growing. The YouTube Academy is there. So wherever you are in your astrology journey, teachers from all over the world banded together to create the Academy. And we taught astrology from the history of Western astrology moving up, Chris Brennan, the crew, and more teachers are continuing to come in. So if you are not in a position to take a class or you're not ready, come over. We've got full classes ready for you to take, and you just have to push click.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you, Stormie. This was such a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to, you know, seeing you at more conferences and yeah, and working with you at OPA. And yeah, thank you for all you've done for the astrology community, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and your gifts.
Yeah, absolutely. You too. You're like becoming one of my favorite people. And what a joy. You're just such a joy, Celeste. And I love when you laugh. I'm like, she means it.
I do, yes. That Aries mood keeps me laughing.
I love it. Well, thank you for having me. And you guys, thank you so much for watching, spending some time with us.
Great. Thanks, Stormie. Have a beautiful evening.
Bye, everybody.